lot of times when you go to the doctor, they're not going to give you any type of treatment until you're already in that full-blown disease state. Functional medicine is all about getting you into that functional level where you're operating at the best that you possibly can, gut health and anxiety. And the two of them are so intricately linked that it's very rare that I see people who have gut issues without anxiety or vice versa. Lungs and the large intestine, those two relate to grief or having a hard time of letting go. It's also the first two things that you do when you're born and the last two things you do when you die.
Wow. I have a very special guest today. I have Kacie. Kacie is an acupuncturist, and she is a very talented woman. She has been doing this for 6-7 years. And she is into holistic medicine and basically wellness, nutrition, how to live right, how to live from the inside out. Kacie is a very talented, special person. And when I met her, some conversation just showed me that she has a gift. And I decided that her work, her mission fits very much into my consciousness movement journey. So I decided to bring Kacie on as a guest so she can share some valuable knowledge and wisdom, and so you get to see things from mindset from a different angle. This is deep, and I love the fact that when it comes to consciousness, awareness, because a lot of the things that we have not even talked about yet is how the body is designed to heal itself. She kind of touched on a little bit about this and talking about functional medicine, how they run tests and use one drug to treat all, one to all. That's what Western medicine is like. Whereas Chinese medicine or Eastern medicine is individualized. Everybody is unique, is different, is an individual. There's no one drug cures everything. So we'll go into those aspects in future segments. As you guys already know, I'm big with mindset, with manifestation, with consciousness, with awareness. On Enhanced Perception podcast, our goal is to help people understand how to be, do, and have. And we know that the way you think affects the way you feel, and the way you feel produces your actions, and your actions is a result of how you think. The result shows the thought process. So it's thoughts, feelings, actions. So welcome, Kacie. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and go.
All right, so I am an acupuncturist and functional medicine practitioner. For those of you who don't know what that is, acupuncture is a Eastern medicine art of putting needles into different places in the body to help with everything from pain, digestion, anxiety, sleep, pretty much anything you could go to your primary care physician for. We can help with acupuncture. Functional medicine is a combination of a more holistic medicine in addition to using more of the modern Western scientific lab testing that can include blood work, stool, urine tests. We really do a deep dive into your health. So if any of you have ever gone to your doctor because you feel like something's wrong and you've been told that your labs are all normal, that's where functional medicine really shines. We do a deep dive and we test for more markers. We use more specific testing. We use tighter ranges to make sure that your levels are all in an optimal range as opposed to just being sick. A lot of times when you go to the doctor, they're not going to give you any type of treatment until you're already in that full-blown disease state. Functional medicine is all about getting you into that functional level where you're operating at the best that you possibly can. The two of those really work well together. Acupuncture helps to incorporate both the mind, body, and emotional part of it by regulating the nervous system, reducing pain, reducing inflammation. And then the functional medicine really helps give us that scientific data to then figure out what we need to do in terms of diet, supplements, lifestyle modifications, regulating your circadian rhythm, all that jazz.
Wow, okay. So I guess the major difference between acupuncture and functional medicine is that acupuncture encompasses everything functional medicine does plus more, while functional medicine just stops at the lab work and this and that. Am I correct?
Acupuncture has been around for the recorded history, I think, is 4,000 or 5,000 years. So it's a very ancient medicine. I look at acupuncture more as a tool that we can use, much like you can use diet as a tool. You can use supplement as a tool. There's a lot of philosophy behind acupuncture that goes into the Eastern mindset on how you should eat, how you should move, how you should sleep, and and all of that. But acupuncture itself is that tool that can help produce a response in the body, whereas functional medicine is using lab work to see where the body's different vitamin levels or blood sugar levels, all of that stuff. To see where that's at. But I use a combination of the Eastern medicine training that I have and the functional medicine training. What we do to help heal the body all comes down to getting the body back into alignment with the basics. So again, what you're eating, how you're moving, your stress levels, detoxification, sleep, like all those primary, I call them the pillars of health. Both acupuncture and functional medicine focus on that.
Wow. I know there's a lot to unpack in this talk, so hopefully we'll be able to cover enough for this segment. Acupuncture, why is it that most people don't know or practice or use it? It looks like it has a lot of benefits, but not so much talked about here in America.
Yeah, so it's popular in a lot of other countries, but in the US, a big part of our medical system is based on the insurance model. So acupuncture is covered by many insurance companies, but oftentimes when you're not able to make money off of a certain medication or drug, it's not going to be advertised. Like you're probably never going to see any advertisements for acupuncture because who would be advertising it? Acupuncturists. And a lot of times acupuncturists don't have that financial backing or that wide of a reach to where we can put commercials on TV like the pharmaceutical companies do here in the US. It's becoming more and more widely recognized as an alternative, especially with the opioid crisis, and people are looking for more holistic options. So it's definitely becoming more popular, especially in places like California or New York, the bigger cities. It's an amazing way to help get your body back into its natural healing abilities just by sticking some needles in, taking a little nap with the acupuncture needles in.
Wow. When you mention needles, I'm sure you've lost a lot of people. Like, okay, then you got me. I'm out.
Yep.
A lot of people are scared of needles. Does it hurt, or what is the pain level with acupuncture?
Yeah, so I'd say like 80 to 90% of the people who come in will say, I'm scared of needles, I don't like needles. And let's be real, aside from, like that small population of people who love getting tattoos or that kind of needle, most people don't really like it because you associate needles with, the big shots that you got when you were a kid, and it was really scary and frightening and painful. The needles that we use are super tiny. They're probably the size of 10 strands of hair, so super small. Most of the time you can't even feel them going in. A lot of times I'll put all the needles in and people will be like, that's it? Like, I didn't even feel it. If I'm totally honest, every once in a while you feel like a tiny pinch, but it generally feels like maybe a little bug bite, and then it goes away within a couple seconds.
What would you say is the acupuncture has the best result? What kind of disease or sickness or ailment out there would you say acupuncture just thrives? Like, you've seen a lot of results of testimonial. People say, wow, I was feeling this way. Now I'm like 100% better.
I've seen it work wonders on so many different things, but I think if we're talking about the more instantaneous results, because that's what a lot of people in the US or even just like modern society, we're used to that instant gratification.
Result oriented.
Yes. So the thing with acupuncture is that it generally does take more than one session to see results, but the things that will usually respond quickest to acupuncture are things like pain that might not take it away completely. It will depend on how long you've had this ailment and how severe it is. But generally within a few sessions, we can start to see the pain reduce. Every once in a while, we get a one-hit wonder and can make it go away completely. But generally, it will take a few sessions. Another really surprising disease or ailment that it works amazingly for is fibromyalgia. And the Western Medical Society doesn't really have a lot of great alternatives or a lot of great options for treating fibro, aside from either anti-inflammatories, or a lot of times they'll prescribe anxiety or depression medication for it. But with acupuncture, fibro patients respond really well because we're decreasing the inflammation. We're helping to down-regulate the nervous system, which tends to play a big role in fibromyalgia because it's oftentimes related to stress. That's one of the most fun things for me to work with is fibro patients, is because they just see such a big result in a few sessions.
Now, when you say pain, what kind of pain are we talking about?
All kinds. This could be you hurt yourself lifting, or it could be that you've had low back pain from sitting at a desk. It could be that you've had this old nagging injury from years ago. It could even be internally. It could be digestive pain, so like bloating, cramping, gas, that kind of stuff as well. Headaches, migraines. I could go on and on. All types of pain.
Oh, really? Can it help women like during the menstrual period? That kind of pain, no? Yes?
Yes. There's a lot that goes into menstrual cramps and unraveling that. A lot of it that comes from detoxification and supporting the liver with detoxification. When someone comes into me for menstrual cramps, acupuncture can help, it's great, but we'll usually use supplements, castor oil packs, and working on decreasing their toxic load, looking at what kind of beauty products they're using, looking at what type of cleaning products they're using, because each time we're exposed to these toxins and they go into our body, that's something that our liver has to process.
Oh, wow.
And so each exposure on its own isn't the thing that usually breaks the camel's back, but once you have all of these different exposures, we're living in a very manufactured society, and we're surrounded by environmental toxins, plastics, all of this stuff all the time. If what we're collecting starts to become too much for our liver to break down, that's when we start to have different symptoms like period cramps, because our liver isn't able to break down the hormones correctly, so we start recycling hormones, and then you can start to have cramps.
Wow, interesting. You mentioned something about the liver. I was watching or listening to this YouTube video. I think this guy's name is Mantak Chia. Who he says that if you can master or understand your 5 major organs, how it works, that you will be pain-free, sickness-free for the rest of your life. And what he was saying is things like anger, hate, all those things hit your organs like your liver and your heart. They say love is in the heart. When someone yells or screams at you, it hits you in your liver and your gut. So if you can master all these 5 major organs, you can be healthy for the rest of your life. Is that related to some of the things you practice or teach?
Definitely. So that is one of the bases for Chinese medicine. In Chinese medicine, we work with the 5 organ systems. And so I always like to explain that when we're talking about the organs from the Chinese medicine lens, we have to separate it a little bit from how we think of it in the Western lens. When I talk about the Chinese version of it, I talk about liver qi stagnation, where your energy gets stuck and you get that like frustrated feeling. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have elevated liver enzymes on your Western medicine tests. With each of the 5 organs in Chinese medicine, each one has an emotion related to it. And so like you said, the liver is related to anger, the heart is related to excessive joy, they'll say, that can start to harm the heart. The spleen and stomach, which are your main digestive organs, deal with worrying and anxiety. 2 of my specialties are gut health and anxiety. And the 2 of them are so intricately linked that it's very rare that I see people who have gut issues without anxiety or vice versa.
Oh, really?
So I work with the spleen and stomach a lot in the Chinese medicine sense. And again, that emotion is worrying and overthinking. So worrying and overthinking can over time start to cause digestive issues. And if you have issues with the spleen and stomach or digestive system, that can cause a dysregulation in your neurotransmitters, because the microbiome or the bacteria that live in your gut are the ones that produce a lot of those feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin, GABA, etc. So if your gut microbiome is messed up, you can definitely be experiencing more anxiety, more depression, more mood disorders. And so that's one of the really cool things that throughout my time learning Chinese medicine, and then also now diving into the more scientific parts of the functional medicine, is you see the stuff that the Chinese 4,000, 5,000 years ago figured out, and like it's all coming to fruition, and like modern science backs it up.
Wow, okay. I definitely would love to know more about this 5 major organs and the ailment or diseases or attached to it, or the emotions that they trigger or that is related to it. So you say the liver is what, anger?
Anger and resentment,
And
generally.
resentment. I guess there is that tied to unforgiveness also, like when you that's resentment.
Yeah.
Unforgiveness is resentment, right?
Yeah.
So
And
that's the liver.
So we can break down unforgiveness into another organ too. So the lungs and the large intestine, those 2 relate to grief or having a hard time of letting go.
Letting go, wow.
So if you think of the lungs, right? We breathe in and we let that out. We have to let that go. Same thing with the large intestine. You literally let that go, right? It's also the first 2 things that you do when you're born and the last 2 things you do when you die.
Wow.
They won't let you leave the hospital when you're a baby until you take your first poop.
Correct.
And same thing when we die, you take your last breath and oftentimes you release the bowels.
Oh, wow.
And so the emotion, again, with lungs and large intestine is grief. And what is grief? That's when you're having a hard time letting go of things.
Would you say oftentimes it's more negative things, or it could be positive, or just letting go maybe of a loss of a relationship, loss of a loved one, or grief because you lost your job, or I guess something tied to something. Well, they say negative emotions are stronger. They affect us stronger.
When do you want to let go of a positive?
Exactly. If you're full of joy, I don't want to let go of
yeah,
joy.
we want to hold on to that as tight as we can.
Yeah.
But so like if you're holding on to a memory of like, oh, those were the good old days, and you're stuck in that time period, that's you living in the past. I think that's what a lot of the lung and the large intestine stuff is, making sure that you're moving forward and going with the flow. Whereas when you're so stuck on something and you're holding on to something so tightly.
Right.
And so this is like a cool intersection with the acupuncture too. So people often will ask like, how do you know where to put the acupuncture points? And the points are all along the body on different channels or meridians. You can think of them as like energy highways. And each of the channels are named after one of those main organ systems we're talking about. The lung channel starts in the chest and goes out to the thumb. And then the large intestine channel starts at the forefinger and goes back up to the side of the face. And so if we look at this, for those who are seeing the video, the whole letting go thing, you're physically holding on with your hands and using these channels and energy meridians. So a lot of times if you're having a hard time letting go of things emotionally, what you're gonna see in the body is you can see cramping up this part of the arm. You can also start to see constipation. You can also start to see like shortness of breath or holding on to your breath because you aren't letting go.
Interesting. Wow.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, but I love this knowledge though. I guess someone comes to you for treatment. You identify what they're working on. Let's say it's grief or anxiety. You already know all the pressure points to put the needles. But what if somebody has a headache? What's headache related to?
So this is the interesting part about Chinese medicine and a difference between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. One of the main differences between when someone comes into a Western medical office or like your traditional doctor's office and, you know, an Eastern practitioner or an acupuncturist is 10 people could come in with a headache in to your Western doctors and they're going to give you probably the same medication most likely.
That is so true.
When you come into an Eastern medicine, or like my office essentially, I'm going to be asking you a bunch of different questions, asking you about your diet, how you eat, how you sleep. And all of this information tells me what type of constitution you have and what your ailment actually is in the Chinese medicine sense. You could come in with anxiety, but like we were talking about, like we have to figure out where that anxiety is coming from. Is it actually coming from liver qi stagnation? So is it because you're stressed, and different symptoms that could go along with that is tightness along the traps. You just feel super bottled up, almost like there's a traffic jam inside your body of energy, or an energetic traffic jam inside your body. You can also get like rib pain. PMS is generally a sign of liver qi stagnation. We're really looking at the whole picture of all the other symptoms that you're experiencing before we even come up with your diagnosis of anxiety. And so say someone comes in for a headache, right? A headache could be, once again, like liver qi stagnation, or it could also be from deficiency. Say you aren't eating enough food and you're not getting enough nutrients. That could cause either like a spleen qi deficiency or a kidney qi deficiency. These are just terms we use in Chinese medicine, but essentially that headache, it's caused by something different. So once we analyze where or what the cause is, then we can come up with a better treatment plan. And that is how I decide which acupuncture points to use.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So yes, well, life happens, things happen. I'm grateful that we were able to even get the much that we have gotten so far, right? And like she said, if you have questions, things you want to know about acupuncture, about health, and we haven't even touched on nutrition.
There's just so much to unpack here. There's so much we could say.
We haven't touched on nutrition and health because that's something you're big on, right?
Oh yes.
You know, foods and how the different kinds of food and how food even affects your health and how your energy levels and things like that, right?
Everything. It affects everything.
Okay.
That just means we have so many more episodes that we can go into. There's just so much that we can talk about.
Be careful what you ask for, because I'm ready.
Let's do
I'm
this.
ready to really put out quality stuff that can benefit and help people live a better life. At the end of the day, we want to live a better life. We want to live healthier, longer, more effective, more energetic. That's the whole purpose of life. What is the benefit of living to be 110 years if you are sick for the half of your life? It doesn't make any sense. What is the point of just being alive and not being functional?
Yeah,
right?
or we want to live happier, healthier
Exactly.
lives.
Exactly. That's the whole purpose of life. We want to live happier, healthier, wealthier. And like they said, health is wealth. If you're not healthy, how are you going to earn money? How are you going to go out and make money? Health is the basis to everything else.
One of my favorite quotes is, I think it goes, health and time are the two things that you don't appreciate until they're gone.
Wow.
This is a minor detail, right? Where it's like, how many times when you have a cold, you realize how much you take for granted, how nice it is to be able to breathe out of your nose. Or like when you get a serious illness, then you're like, oh, damn, I should have taken advantage of my time and energy more when I was healthy. But like that type of thinking isn't going to get you anywhere. So you just got to appreciate what you got right now, because now is all we got.
That is so true. That is so true. There's a lot we can talk about, like she said. We have not even talked about how this affects other areas of our life, like relationships. We've talked about wealth. So the major areas of life is health, relationship, money, wealth. And I guess another thing which you touched on earlier, which we will expand on, is the breathing. And then we can dive into either mindset meditation or mindful meditation or affirmations and all those areas. Okay, we got our work cut out for us, Kacie.
Yep. I hope you guys like that teaser. There's more to come. There's more where that came from.
I love this though. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. I have a very good feeling that with a couple more sessions of this talk, we'll be able to affect people's life and give people a lot of value. Some of the things we talk about here, you pay thousands going to sit with a consultant to hear this kind of information. You know, that's why people pay money to go sit with doctors or practitioners. And we have a practitioner here, live and direct, giving us, her time. So please show up next time. Write in your questions. Kacie will be more than happy to answer your questions, and follow her on all her social media handles. She's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
You guys can find me at florafauna.wellness.
Is that your website?
No.
Oh, that's the Instagram?
That's the Instagram handle. Flora Fauna Wellness was taken, so
Oh,
had to throw that little, sprinkle that little Salt Bay dot in there.
So Instagram at florafauna.wellness. You'll find her on Instagram. You can hit her up, follow her, you subscribe to what she does. And I think you have is it a blueprint or white pages about something about nutrition?
So yeah, I have a couple freebies that you can grab off my website or the link in my bio, but I also just came out with a Jumpstart Your Health digital product. So it's a PDF that is only $19.99, and it gives away all of my wellness secrets. It's designed into a 5-week program where each week you're starting to implement a new habit. So you're slowly building each week so it doesn't become overwhelming. One of the things I say all the time, it's those little things that you do every single day that make a big difference.
That's correct.
So things that you're consistent about, it's not those one-off things you do. If you do what it says, you'll definitely start to see improvements in your sleep, digestion, overall happiness and health. Right now, I am just having it do you go at your own pace, but I have offered a Telegram group where I've led it through as well. So maybe I'll do that again for the springtime. Stay tuned, follow me on Instagram, and get all of that information.
Excellent. So thank you very much. So we'll be coming back very soon. I will post a date where we'll go live. Stay tuned on Kacie's Instagram, stay tuned on my Instagram and social media to get all the details. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having Kacie on here with us. Until next time, enhance your perception.
Thank you.
Thank you.